Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Absolute Resonance Part 26 based on novel. So let's start. Frost River Algae, half a strand. Panshan Vitality Roots, 3. Qianxi Water, 3 standard measurements. Within the Sun Creek Villa refining workshop, Yang Lingqing was issuing crisp, clear instructions, all of which Li Luo was swiftly following. He would measure out whatever she needed and hand it over. As Yang Lingqing picked up each crystal vial, she added water resonance power to crush the ingredients and release their special properties. There was no idle chit-chat now, not during the competition. It was going to be a sprint from start to finish. However, Li Luo was picking up many things from the efficient way that Yang Lingqing was working. Her understanding of ingredient integration was superb. She deftly worked through the complex steps, and he knew that he would have ruined everything if it was left to him. She was indeed quite an expert in refining. But Li Luo also knew that this was just the start. Outside, there were commentators discussing the competition. Although those outside might not fully understand the processes, looking at the tense expressions of the resonance artificers helped them feel immersed in the situation. The tension was infectious. More and more crystal vials began to line up on Yang Lingqing's rack, twinkling with blue light. Their preparation was finished. Beads of sweat had started to appear on her beautiful face, but she did not even have time to wipe them. All her attention was concentrated on the vials in her hands. Her water resonance power worked non-stop, fusing yet more ingredients. The fusion of ingredients looked simple, but it required precise control of one's resonant power to remove the impurities from within them. One had to wield the resonant power for hundreds of passes before the required essence could be properly extracted. To the untrained eye, it looked like just a channeling of resonant power into the crystal vials, but there were invisible changes happening behind that image. A classic case of the experts watching the hustle and the layman enjoying the bustle. This was a time for the resonance artificers with higher-grade resonances to distinguish themselves. A higher-grade resonance was easier to wield, and it could compensate for a lack of experience. Watching her beautiful face carefully, Li Luo hesitated for a moment. This time, while arranging the ingredients, he flicked a finger and injected a dribble of water-light resonance into it. "Skyleaf juice," Yang Lingqing said. Li Luo immediately handed it over to her. Yang Lingqing took it, imbuing her water resonance power and crushing it entirely. But this time, as the ingredients fused, her hands clenched tightly. She was shocked. This fusion had gone much more smoothly than before. When channeling her resonant power into the crystal vial, there seemed to be another special force inside making things effortless. However, this was a competition, so she had no time to examine it carefully. She could only quickly finish her work and move on to the next step. Li Luo was still carefully watching her expression. Seeing her not panicking was a relief. So his bit of resonant power had not interfered with the fusion. Perhaps it was helping. This was no surprise. After all, Li Luo's resonant power worked like a special water source. It could accommodate other water and light resonances. His water-light resonance was a 6th grade one, but compared to single-element resonances, it was definitely comparable to a 7th grade. Yang Lingqing's own water resonance was a lower 7th grade. Therefore, Li Luo was technically stronger than her based on pure resonant power alone. However, because she was the main artificer, and Li Luo's power was a weak 9th seal's, his water-light resonance had only helped to ease the situation. Besides, he knew that Yang Lingqing did not actually need his help for the cyanobacteria spirit liquid. Therefore, his assistance had been just a testing of the waters. Time continued to pass under their frenzied and tense pacing. At this step, the refining was in its final phase. Li Luo breathed easy now. There had been no problems with her refining, and the 4th grade cyanobacteria spirit liquid had been completed. Ding! A bell rang out, and the voice of the judges could be heard. Green Light Villa, Jiao Feng. 4th grade Green Light Purifying Light, success. Tempering Strength, 55%. White Fang Villa, Liu Tong. 4th grade White Fang Spirit Liquid, success. Tempering Strength, 56%. As these were announced, Yang Lingqing did not seem fazed, calmly holding up her cyanobacteria spirit liquid. However, her composure did not hold up for long, because a surprising announcement was made. Pine Nut Villa, Song Chuyu. 5th grade dainty spirit liquid, success. Tempering strength, 53%. Wow! The entire arena broke out in an uproar. Many were looking at Song Chuyu, who was holding up a vial with a smile on her face. 5th grade spirit liquid? The Pine Nut Villa's Song Chuyu had actually completed a 5th grade spirit liquid. Many of the other resonance artificers paled. They were virtually all 4th grade resonance artificers. No one was a 5th grade artificer, and yet Song Chuyu had produced a 5th grade spirit liquid. That would crush the competition. Whether this was a stroke of luck or otherwise, it had been produced in the competition, and it was rightfully her result. Song Shan and Mo Ling both grinned triumphantly. As for House Loulan's side, the flower fan in Cai Wei's hand faltered and her lovely goose egg-shaped face stiffened. She looked worriedly over at Yang Lingqing and Li Luo's refining workshop. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Yang Lingqing had been focused on her ingredients, and suddenly she froze as if petrified. The crystal vial in her hand did not move an inch. She stared at it, and the energy began to leak out of her. How could she have a 5th grade spirit liquid? Yang Lingqing stammered to herself. Peng! A slip of her resonant power, and the crystal vial shattered. The liquid dripped down her fingers. She placed both hands on the desk to steady herself. Her head was hung, her long hair covering her face entirely. There was no point in continuing now. Song Chuyu had produced a 5th grade spirit liquid. Even if her cyanobacteria spirit liquid turned out to be a resounding success, it would still fall short. Li Luo looked at her, her resignation obvious. Through the strands of her hair, he could see that her eyes were watery. It was his first time seeing Yang Lingqing so vulnerable. Li Luo looked up at Song Chuyu. She was gloating, her victory assured. Li Luo saw her looking over at Yang Lingqing with a superior sense of mockery. He was silent for a few moments, then he suddenly spun Yang Lingqing around. He stared into her watery eyes. Sister Lingqing, he said tersely, you are definitely better than Song Chuyu. I don't know how she managed to refine a 5th grade spirit liquid, but if she can do it, you can do too. Yang Lingqing shook her head. I've never succeeded, not even once, she whispered hoarsely. Perhaps not before, but perhaps you can do it now. We're already behind anyway. What's there to lose? Li Luo whispered back. He took her fair hand and wiped it dry with his clothing, encouraging her tenderly. Sister Lingqing, I don't really care about what victory or defeat here will do to the Sun Creek Villa. I just think that you're an excellent artificer. How could you lose to her? She looked blankly at his chiseled features. Although still raw with youth, there was a strong will there that drummed up the courage in her. She bit her lip and gave him a small nod. Then, let's try. Sister Lingqing, which 5th grade spirit liquid are you most familiar with? Seeing her perk up, Li Luo smiled encouragingly. Heavenward spirit liquid. I'm most familiar with its formula, and it's the one I've been practicing. But like I said, I've never succeeded before, Yang Lingqing said. He nodded and called over the staff to tell them that they were going to change their refining materials. Very soon, a new batch of ingredients was streaming into the refining workshop. Song Chuyu had already walked out of her own refining workshop with a superior smile. Yang Lingqing, still struggling? No way you can turn the tables, she gloated to herself. She was feeling very good about having decisively beaten Yang Lingqing. Back at the Resonance Tempering Hall, Yang Lingqing had always been firmly in the lead. Later on, Yang Lingqing had brought Song Chuyu into the refining group, but that teacher had continued to favor Yang Lingqing and treat Song Chuyu coldly. It had made her extremely resentful and jealous. She felt that her talent was comparable. The teacher's bias was unfair. Although Yang Lingqing was kind, it was a kindness that smacked of pity. She did not want it. Yang Lingqing, you were just trying to show off how nice you were. Now it is my win. Ready. Li Luo looked over at Yang Lingqing. The latter took a deep breath and then nodded gravely. Glass solution, 10 drops. Li Luo immediately pulled out a transparent fruit and squeezed gently until 10 drops were in a test tube. He put a pulse of resonant power in. This one was slightly more than his experiment previously. He handed over the test tube, and she started to purify it and condense the medicinal properties. But this time, she could feel a strong and vital resonant power that was helping her tune things. She was taken aback by its presence. Most crucially, it was not at all hindering her processing. It was as though someone had secretly added a powerful water source to it. And then a jolt of understanding flooded through her, making her turn to look at Li Luo anew. If she still did not understand at this point, then she would truly be a numbskull. She did not speak about it, quickly settling herself. With the help of that revitalizing resonant power, she swiftly began to purify the ingredients. Citric drizzle fruit. Cloud root grass. Blossom paste. The names tumbled off her tongue in quick succession, and Li Luo promptly supplied the ingredient each time. Time ticked on. The other resonance artificers were done. There were successes and failures, but none of it mattered. Before Song Qiuyu's 5th grade spirit liquid, they were all defeated. Therefore, all eyes were now turned to the last refining workshop yet to finish, Sun Creek Villa. Not giving up yet. Mo Ling was smiling smugly up from the Song family's viewing area. He shook his head. Yang Lingqing, struggling like a fish on the hook. Does she think she can produce a 5th grade spirit liquid too? Impossible. She's not at the 5th grade level yet. Even Qiuyu could not have done it if not for the secret ink water ingredients. Song Shan gave a calculated smile. The moment Qiuyu is declared Artificer Prime, we will announce the launch of the Ink Water Villa's products. It will definitely cause a huge stir, and the Sun Creek Villa can basically pack up and close. Song Shan's heartbeat quickened as he imagined the moment. After today, the Pine Nut Villa would be the best villa in the Jiangsu province. At the Golden Dragon Bank spectator area, President Liu frowned. There must be some trouble at the Sun Creek Villa side. The Song family is working together with the Ink Water Villa. They delivered huge quantities of their secret formulas before. They must be aiming to crush the Sun Creek Villa today. Lu Qing'e was alarmed to hear this. The Song family must have been planning to make their move at this festival. Their goal? To surpass the Sun Creek Villa and dominate the spirit liquids and purifying lights market in the Jiangsu province. Over at House Loulan's side, Cai Wei felt a tingle of excitement upon seeing Yang Lingqing rally herself. She knew of the grudge between the two. If she lost here, it would be a big mental blow. Still, she was very anxious. She did not understand how Yang Lingqing could possibly turn this around. Soon enough, another bell rang out, reminding participants that the time limit was approaching. Song Qiuyu folded her arms across her chest, resting her head against the crystal wall at an angle. She cocked an eye towards a fully focused Yang Lingqing, watching her struggle with pleasure. Yang Lingqing, how helpless. It will not save you, she hissed. Ding! Another bell. Yang Lingqing put down her hands. Her face was pouring with fragrant sweat, her chin tucked in. Close to 1,000 ingredients had been prepared, and the toil on her had been incredible. However, the preparations were all done. It had gone much more smoothly than she had ever done before. But the final step was to refine the water source and then fuse all of the prepared mixtures together to form the final spirit liquid. It was an equally important step. Yang Lingqing took a deep breath and picked up a polymerization crystal. Li Luo put his hand on hers. Yang Lingqing looked at him, puzzled. If not for the gravity of the situation, she would have thought he was hitting on her. Sister Lingqing, let's do this together. Li Luo gave her a sunny smile that dazzled her for a moment. Recovering, she nodded. Although she did not really understand what he was doing, she trusted him. Both used their resonant powers together, infusing the polymerization crystal. A pure light settled within the crystal. Next, droplets of water source began to condense and drip down into a crystal vial. Li Luo's face was pale. He had used up virtually all of his resonant power. Although he was much weaker than she was, the purity of the water source that he could produce was a cut above Yang Lingqing's. With the two working together, the result would have to be better than a water source that Yang Lingqing produced alone. Holding the vial up, Yang Lingqing looked at the purest water source she had ever produced. It was all thanks to Li Luo. She again turned to stare at him, and he grinned at her weakly, his face pale. "Sister Lingqing, the show's yours." With a slight incline of her head in acknowledgement, she started to bring the ingredients together, adding test tubes to the bottle of water source. When they injected the water source, the test tube solutions glowed, filled with life forms fusing together and creating new possibilities. The changes would take the better part of a minute before subsiding. Within the crystal vial, the liquid bubbled and quietened, and its color gradually faded away. At the same time, beams of light danced merrily within. Hua! The crowd was getting excited now. The resonance artificers were even more astonished. From the dancing lights, they could tell that this was more than a 4th-grade spirit liquid. It had to be a 5th-grade spirit liquid. Yang Lingqing stared at the crystal vial, lost in thought. Finally, she stretched out a trembling hand and inserted the tempering measurement needle. It climbed to 58. Her eyes lit up like the sun. The crowd roared, led by the commentator. Sun Creek Villa. Yang Lingqing. 5th grade heavenward spirit liquid, success. Tempering strength, 58. Raw? After a stunned silence, the crowd exploded with excitement. The Sun Creek Villa had barely finished in time, but they had managed to produce a 5th grade spirit liquid. And it was even higher than Song Qiuyu's. Incredible. Amidst the cheers, the smirk on Song Qiuyu's face was frozen in time. Wave after wave of crowd chatter echoed around the arena. Everyone was amazed at the outcome. A comeback at the last moment by Sun Creek Villa's Yang Lingqing. She too had made a 5th grade spirit liquid. What? Song Shan and Mo Ling thundered, springing out of their chairs aghast. They were completely incredulous. Impossible. Impossible. There must be a trick. Mo Ling snarled. Yang Lingqing was clearly only a 4th grade resonance artificer. How could she have made a 5th grade spirit liquid? Anger clouded Song Shan's face, brewing like a storm. The sudden turn of events had devastated his perfect plan. It was foiled completely. Over at the Golden Dragon Bankside, President Lu's eyes were round as saucers as well. He rubbed his portly chin. Too much of a coincidence, isn't it? When did Yang Lingqing become capable of refining 5th grade spirit liquids too? If Song Qiuyu can do it, why can't she? Lu Qing'e laughed with relief. President Lu fumbled for an answer. Well, normally speaking, neither should be able to. But both have been able to? Could it be luck? Who knows? Lu Qing'e said indifferently. All that mattered was that Sun Creek Villa had won. Li Luo would be happy now. President Lu looked at her and shook his head. However, he too was happy that Sun Creek Villa had won. After all, Song Yunfeng had betrayed Lu Qing'e during the exams, and he wasn't happy about it at all. He had dealt business with them with a grudging manner since. If not for the fact that she had turned out safe, he would not have let the matter rest so easily. Over at House Loulan's side, Cai Wei sank down in relief. Her hand was thumping her chest repeatedly, trying to calm herself down. How did Lingqing do it? Was she inspired by the young lord's good looks? But she's not that kind of superficial girl. Yang Lingqing was not like her. She didn't care about a person's looks at all. Still, who cared because Sun Creek Villa had gotten the ideal result? Impossible. How could she have created a 5th grade with a higher tempering strength than me? Song Qiuyu was completely floored. When she recovered, she immediately objected. Her attractive features were twisted in spite now. There must be a trick. She yelled at the judge. He ignored her. His only responsibility was to judge the outcome. After confirming that Yang Lingqing's product was indeed a 5th grade spirit liquid with a 58% tempering strength, he immediately announced the winner. Sun Creek Villas Jiang Qing'e, no mistakes in tempering. 5th grade spirit liquid, tempering strength 58%, first place. I declare Sun Creek Villas Jiang Qing'e the winner. Wow! Loud gasps and cheers filled the arena after the decision. This was a spectacular comeback. Wow, we won! In the refining workshop, Jiang Qing'e was stunned. Joy lit up her beautiful features, and she turned to hug Li Luo, cheering and jumping. Li Luo hurriedly raised his hands, declaring his innocence. But feeling her slim, fragrant body pressed against him was a unique feeling that curvier bodies just could not give him. She quickly got her emotions under control, a slight tinge of embarrassment in her eyes. That's not my fault though. Li Luo protested his innocence. What an unreasonable woman. She had jumped him, and now she was angry? Jiang Qing'e sniffed, then waved a joking fist at him. She could not hide her overflowing joy at having made the comeback. Congratulations, you're the Jiangsu province's Artificer Prime, Li Luo said brightly. She rolled her eyes at him. The title was worth exactly 0 gold. She didn't really care about it. What mattered more was getting a win over her longtime rival, Song Qiuyu. It's not like you don't know how I won. But with this success, I feel like perhaps truly becoming a 5th grade resonance artificer is not far away now. She gushed. Impressive. Li Luo gave her a thumbs up. If she could become a 5th grade artificer, then she would truly be a respectable expert in the field on a wider scale. She turned to regard him with her gorgeous eyes. She knew that he was essential to the win, and that was still a source of puzzlement for her. He was clearly only a 2nd grade artificer. His water resonance did not seem to have that high of a grade either. But the water resonance he had produced was brimming with vitality, even stronger than hers. Li Luo was clearly hiding some secrets. Still, she had the presence of mind not to ask it here. She was not an overly nosy person. Since he was not volunteering information, she wasn't going to pursue the issue. She set this matter aside for now. With the refining complete, Jiang Qing'e and Li Luo walked out of the refining workshop. She looked over at the spiteful Song Qiuyu and said coolly, "Sorry to deny you the win." Song Qiuyu snapped, "Jiang Qing'e, I don't believe you can refine a 5th grade spirit liquid." "I don't believe you can either," Jiang Qing'e retorted. "If you have doubts, we can go get the results verified. See if we used any little tricks in our work." This competition was just a part of the festival. It was not particularly major, and so many of the rules were a little iffy. But if Song Qiuyu truly wanted to push the issue, they could get the results verified by professionals. Still, it was as she had said. She did not believe that Song Qiuyu could make a 5th grade spirit liquid, because she understood her ability well. She must have pulled off something dirty. Song Qiuyu bit her lip so hard that it left a bloody line. In the end, she did not dare to pursue the issue. She was unsure. Mo Ling had sworn that the Mo family's secrets could not be detected, but she did not dare risk it. They had already lost. Besides, the title of Artificer Prime would have just been the appetizer to their plan. Although it might not have gone as smoothly as they hoped, it did not actually affect their subsequent operations. She turned a hateful eye on Jiang Qing'e. "You think you've won? Dream on." She swallowed her anger and turned to the crowd. In a clear voice, she declared, "Everyone, the Song family has big news to announce. From today onwards, the Song family will be working together with the Inkwater Villa to produce a new line of spirit liquids and purifying lights. 1st grade Black Star Spirit Liquid, 62%. 2nd grade Black Moon Spirit Liquid, 61%. 3rd grade Black Glory Purifying Light, 60%. This was greeted with astonishment and excitement from those present. The famous Inkwater Villa was, of course, a name that many in the Jiangsu recognized. This was great news for the average consumer. Higher quality at the same price? Who would pass it up? Presently, the best choices were the 1st grade Azure Jade Spirit Liquid and the 2nd grade Ruby Slush Spirit Liquid from the Sun Creek Villa. Both were about 60%. It seemed like the Song family's newest line would surpass that. They now saw that this was the bigger goal of the Song family today. The championship fight was merely a boost to their reputation. Even though they had lost the title, the new line of products had quality that would speak for itself. The momentum was with the Song family now. It truly did not matter where the title went. The true winners here were the buyers. Yang Lingqing's heart sank when she heard the news. So that could not be denied. How would they deal with the Song family's move? Yang Lingqing helplessly turned to Li Luo, but she found him with a cheerful grin on his face. Somehow, it made her heartstrings tighten, then she felt the tension evaporate from her body. The excitement continued for a long time. The Song family's move had huge implications. Working together with the Inkwater Villa? The Inkwater Villa was famous throughout Xia. In terms of expertise and scale, they were far beyond any villa in the Jiangsu province. It was like releasing a tiger into the sheep flock. One could only imagine that most of the spirit liquids and purifying lights market would now fall into the Song family's hands. And the Sun Creek Villa would fall just as quickly as they had risen. Song Qiuyu's expression eased up. She looked loftily at Yang Lingqing. You might have won the competition, but the Song family has beaten the Sun Creek Villa. However, bright laughter erupted from a nearby Li Luo. She looked over at him. Is that amusing to you? Li Luo nodded, but didn't reply. Instead he turned to the crowd. Everyone, the Sun Creek Villa also has an announcement to make. From today onwards, we will upgrade our first-grade Azure Jade and second-grade Ruby Slush Spirit Liquids. By my calculations, the new Spirit Liquids will probably have a tempering strength of 64%. Wow! This announcement gobsmacked the entire crowd. Even the other resonance artificers stared at Li Luo open-mouthed. 64% for first and second-grade Spirit Liquids? If that could be mass-produced, it would be a quality that would rank in the top 10 even in the whole Xia Kingdom. The other top 10 products were all the result of countless experiments and trials by the huge powers. These groups had invested a lot of time and effort to stabilize their formulas. And now the Sun Creek Villa was saying they could achieve it? You're talking out your ass, boy? Mo Ling shouted from the Song family spectator stands. Li Luo's mouth was too big. How dare he have the cheek to say he could reach 64% with the Azure Jade and the Ruby Slush? That was a tall order even for the Inkwater Villa. Song Shan looked as though he had swallowed something slimy. He wanted to dismiss Li Luo's words as nonsense, and yet there was a slight unease he could not shake off. This Li Luo was always an enigma. Over at the Golden Dragon side, President Lu turned to Lu Qing'e in surprise. Another upgrade to the Sun Creek Villa's Spirit Liquids? So soon? She blinked back at him innocently, indicating that she did not know. Song Qiuyu was equally stunned at the announcement. What are you blabbing about? Not even the headquarters of your Sun Creek Villa could achieve that. You? A small branch? What do you think spirit liquids and purifying lights are, kid? You think they'll leap and dance at your command? Other major villas have gone through countless trials and experiments and done a ton of research to gain experience. Only then could they inch up their quality by a fraction. The Sun Creek Villa's spirit liquids and purifying lights could barely touch the 50s a mere 2 months ago. They had barely been able to hold ground against other villas in the Jiangsu province, let alone compete against the Pine Nut Villa. They had suddenly managed to muster a drastic improvement, but surely they couldn't pull it off a second time so soon, right? Yang Lingqing remained silent. There was doubt in her eyes. She did not know if even she could do it. But after what had just happened, her confidence in Li Luo had deepened significantly. And since he had dared to announce this publicly, he had to be prepared. Li Luo waved to someone behind him and immediately a servant of House Loulan hurried forward with a black box. He opened the box to reveal dozens of spirit liquids and purifying lights within. They were Ruby Slush and Azure Jade from the Sun Creek Villa. Li Luo took one out casually and then tested it. To everyone's shock, the tempering strength was actually at 64%. The crowd went wild. Still beaming, Li Luo continued, from today onwards, both Azure Jade and Ruby Slush will be at 64%. If any fall below that, the Sun Creek Villa guarantees a full refund. No questions asked. It was a bold declaration that made his commitment clear. Song Qiuyu's sour face was back. She wanted to accuse Li Luo of hiring expert artificers to produce them, but with that proclamation, it signified that he was confident in producing them long-term and ensuring quality. She shook with rage and frustration. She had worked so hard for today to be successful. She had snared the Inkwater Villa and engineered the alliance, all in order to destroy Yang Lingqing and the Sun Creek Villa. And now it was all in the water. She had lost to Yang Lingqing, and now their new products had been soundly beaten by the Sun Creek Villa as well. They were well and truly a laughing stock. No way. No way. Mo Ling howled, having broken down completely. He refused to believe that the Sun Creek Villa could produce such quality liquids and lights in the long term. Li Luo must be lying. Song Shan stood up, his face expressionless. Ignoring the raving Mo Ling, he turned and left. There was nothing that could be changed about today's outcome. The Song family's moves had all been easily swept aside and negated. No, they had been turned fully to their opponent's advantage. 64% tempering strength. It would forever be a mountain that crushed the Song family. There was no coming back from this one. Again, the Song family had been crushed and rolled over. He remembered that it was not always this way. Before, the Song family had devoured all of House Loulan's assets in the Jiangsu province. They were flying high. How had it become like this? In his mind's eye, Li Luo's face appeared. Everyone knew that House Loulan's Jiang Qing'e was to be envied. But had they been sleeping on this young lord? Still waters run deep, but he struck with the deadliness and unexpectedness of a viper. Let's go. Show's over. President Lu stood up as well, smiling at Lu Qing'e. Although I don't have much proof, my years of business instinct is telling me that the young lord is something special. He might not have the same sharpness that his parents and Jiang Qing'e have, but he knows how to pick his moments. That is a strength uncommon for those his age. I think he will be a match for Jiang Qing'e in the future. He turned to leave. Lu Qing'e tilted her head to look at Li Luo and smiled faintly as well. I think so too, she said softly. Thinking about how they would soon head to the Astral Sage College together to begin a new chapter of their lives, she felt an inexplicable tingle of anticipation. After the festival, on the carriage taking them back, Li Luo, Cai Wei, and Yang Lingqing were riding together, and the two were looking wide-eyed at Li Luo. Look, I know that I have a really pretty face, and we've spent so much time together that you must be having some thoughts. But in order to keep your relationship with Sister Qing'e intact, I suggest you control yourselves. If you can't, I suggest you discuss this with her, Li Luo sincerely warned them after the staring was getting out of hand. TSK. They both T-scared him. This guy was getting bolder by the day. Young lord, you're a man of many secrets indeed. But it's time to spill. How are we going to maintain 64% strength in the future? Cai Wei asked. Easy. I've improved the water source purity. So the tempering strength has increased accordingly. Both were speechless. Yang Lingqing had guessed at least that much. After all, the only factor in spirit liquid quality that Li Luo could influence was the water source. Still, even Yang Lingqing was amazed by how much he had purified the water source before. Had he managed to do so again? The Songs went to great lengths to secure all that external aid. They must have gone through an endless series of negotiations and talks. After all that, they lost to a simple water source purification. I almost feel sorry for Song Qiuyu now. Cai Wei shook her head, smiling. Li Luo matched her smile. Luckily, the Sun Creek Villa had not yet pushed out any third-grade spirit liquids. As a ninth seal, he was not strong enough to output so much water source. Otherwise, he would have raised it as well and totally shut the Songs out of the market. But you're heading to the Astral Sage College soon, right? What will we do about the water source then? Yang Lingqing asked suddenly. It went without saying that the Sun Creek Villa spirit liquids were only where they were thanks to Li Luo. When the enabler left, How could they ensure quality? He had already guaranteed refunds for anything less than 64%. Li Luo had already thought of this. When I go to Xia City, I'll send back a batch of water source every month to ensure quality. And as Li Luo's resonant power rose, the amount of water source he could produce would increase as well. It should be able to meet the needs back here at the Qianshu province. Both women nodded in approval. But if you go to Xia City, Lingqing and I should go with you, Cai Wei said. After all, I came to the Qianshu province to stabilize the businesses here. I've finished all of my tasks. I should be returning to Xia City as well. Yang Lingqing nodded as well. The Sun Creek Villa is doing well. The other day, headquarters sent over a 4th-grade resonance artificer as the vice president, appointed by Jiang Qing'e. He must be trustworthy, I can leave matters here to him. She gave him a sly smile. Actually, I'm still a student at the Astral Sage College. When you get in, you will have to call me senior sister. Indeed, it would be a waste for talents like yourselves to remain at the Qianshu province. Li Luo replied with a laugh. Cai Wei was the administrator of House Loulan. Because of their troubles here, Jiang Qing'e had sent Cai Wei to hold down the fort at the Qianshu province. As for Yang Lingqing, she was a gifted student at the Resonance Tempering Hall in the Astral Sage College. She had agreed to come to the Qianshu province at the behest of Jiang Qing'e mainly to improve her skills. Now that he was leaving the Qianshu province, the two of them would not linger either. When do you plan to move? Cai Wei asked. I probably need another half a month or so, Li Luo replied. There was still a little over a month left in his holidays. And he needed to fill as many holes on the acquired resonance godly forging wheel as he could to build his second acquired resonance. Just about right, time-wise. We'll make arrangements, tie things down, and be ready to leave around that time as well, Cai Wei said cheerfully. I haven't seen my babe Qing'e in a while now. I miss her, Yang Lingqing said eagerly. Li Luo nodded emphatically. I miss my babe Qing'e too. I wish I could give her a big, lovey-dovey hug. Yang Lingqing suddenly turned serious. I suggest you be more circumspect at the Astral Sage College. If you really make a move, I suspect you will be clubbed to death. Li Luo started. Is it illegal to hug my fiancée? He grumbled. Are the Astral Sage College people so barbaric? Yang Lingqing rolled her eyes at him. The days after the festival passed peacefully, reverting to a state of calm. The Sun Creek Villa was doing better and better by the day, steadily dominating the spirit liquids and purifying lights market. This was the highest annual profit that they had ever turned. When there were just 2 weeks left until the end of the holidays, Li Luo's resonant power finally managed to reach the threshold, and he broke into the 10th seal. At this level, it was time to prepare for the next step, the Resonant Master stage, and consolidate his resonant seed. Still, it was going to take time. As for his acquired resonance godly forging wheel, Li Luo had worked on it steadily, and now only 2 holes were left. Still, these 2 holes eluded his every attempt. He could not find suitable ingredients that the wheel would accept. His guess was that the wood and earth elements in the ingredients were insufficient. Which meant that these last 2 holes needed to be filled with something really rare. He had specially gone to visit the Golden Dragon Bank, but the ingredients there did not meet his standards either. Finally, President Liu mentioned that if he wanted even better ingredients, he would probably have to visit the Golden Dragon Bank's headquarters in Xia City. There, he would probably find something that would meet his needs. With that, Li Luo took it as a sign that it was really time to leave for a bigger pond. This video will end here.